I made a lot of money mistakes in my 20s. I'm in my 30s now, and I wanted to make this video and just talk about all the things I wish I did differently with my money in my 20s. First, if you're in your 20s and you actually want to watch videos like this, you're well ahead of the pack. Now, if your goal is to live a financially successful life, there are a bunch of different things you can do, and understanding money is one of them. So I'm just going to break down a bunch of different concepts, different topics, different lessons that I learned in my 20s, and I really hope to help you out. And just a little bit of background about myself. My name is Charlie. I grew up super frugal, spent my 20s struggling a lot, but building a ton of knowledge about investing, money, business. It feels crazy to say that I'm in my 30s now. I feel old, but over the last decade, I've grown so much. I've learned so much about money, how to invest, and yeah, I just want to share all of it with you. So the first money lesson I want to talk about is being appropriately frugal. Let me explain what that means. So when I was in my 20s, I was way too frugal, like embarrassingly frugal. I did not like going out to eat. I only looked at the price of things. I hated red lights because I knew that it was burning gas and wasting money. I would do crazy things like drive an extra 10-15 minutes to save $2 on gas. I wouldn't go out to events because I knew that it would cost money. I wouldn't buy things that I needed because I just didn't want to spend money. Basically, the list goes on, and it's making me think like, Charlie, what were you doing? And yeah, just everything I did was influenced by trying to save a dollar. Now, looking back, obviously that was not the best way to live. And if I could go back and tell myself one thing, it would be, Charlie, you're just being way too frugal. You're spending too much of your mental energy just trying to preserve and save money. And it's really affecting your mental health as well as affecting your friendships. See, there is a certain level of frugality that I think is really good. It's appropriate for most people. I was well beyond that, and I think some of you guys might be beyond that as well. Some of you watching are also going to be too unfrugal. You're spending way too much money for how much you're making. And so I want you guys to find that appropriate balance of frugality, which allows you to live a good life, but still start saving money at the same time. If you're spending all your energy just being frugal, no one's going to want to hang out with you. And you're going to be spending all your energy just trying to save money when you should have 100 other priorities. Live below your means. Don't buy expensive things. Don't go into debt. But know that money is a tool that is ultimately meant to be spent. And there's tons of things that you can spend your money on that are actually really smart. We'll talk more about that later on in this video, but yeah, please, you guys, don't be too frugal. Find that right balance, because I sure did not have that balance. So number two is you need to spend your energy on increasing your income instead of just penny pinching. So obviously this goes off of the last one. And as a result of just being way too frugal, I didn't try to make more money. Instead, like 60-70% of my brain power went to figuring out how I could save money. And guys, while you can save your way to becoming a millionaire by the time you're age like 50, 60, if you're trying to get there faster, it's not about saving more money. It's more about increasing income. And really what they say is the first $100,000 is the hardest. So that's why you should try to make that $100,000 as soon as possible, because once you get to a certain point on that curve, that compound exponential curve, then everything becomes easier. So the way to do this, and it still works in 2026 and beyond, is to start a high value service-based business. I did this in my 20s. I did photography and video. I was charging at least $100 per hour for most of my shoots. And that's how I really built up the capital to start investing in my 20s. If I had worked a normal job making, let's say, $25 an hour, it would have been a lot harder for me to actually have enough to invest. Instead, I focused on building up skills that people would pay me a higher amount of money for hourly. And I did those skills as a service. Once you make your first $100,000, everything else gets a lot easier. Once you have money that can make you money, and you have a lot more access to resources, and you can also take bigger risks. So seriously, try and make your first $100,000 as fast as possible. Really think about doing a service-based business and focus on increasing your income, not penny pinching, not saving more money. 3 is the easiest investments are the best performing, but also the hardest for humans to actually do. So if you look at the actual data behind investing, you'll see that it's actually really boring. People that do well with the stock market, with investing, they have really boring portfolios. It's very, very rare that someone actually makes a ton of money handpicking stocks, buying really risky investments, stuff like that. If you're in your 20s and you haven't started investing in index funds, that would be my biggest suggestion. Just put your money into the S&P 500, into something like VOO, and just let that money sit long-term. Don't touch it. Don't try to day trade. Don't try to swing trade. Just buy this as a long-term asset and hold it for pretty much ever. Now, like I said, this goes against human nature, right? Everyone thinks that they are smarter than the next person and that they can beat the market. But the truth is, you probably cannot beat the market. I know for sure that I can't beat the market. And yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes in the market, and they all come down to me trying to be smarter than other people. You just can't. And that's why I encourage you guys, just invest in boring index funds as a majority of your portfolio. If you have things that you are extremely bullish about, yes, set aside some money, put your money there too. But the greatest investment for 99% of humans out there is just parking their money in index funds. If you also care about crypto, just buy the big coins. Bitcoin and Ethereum are my favorite. And yeah, I've lost a lot of money in my 20s trying to pick a bunch of, coins that all were rug pulled. It just never ends well. And yes, you can have a few wins, but what I've seen in the last decade is a lot of people will make a bunch of money and then just lose all of it. That basically happens to everyone that tries to get into the really risky stuff. So to summarize, low cost index funds, store some money in Bitcoin and Ethereum if you believe in them. But again, the vast majority should just be in boring index funds. The easier it is, the harder it is to actually do. Just try to do the easy thing without letting your human instinct take over. And speaking of crypto, a quick intro to one of my favorite all-in-one finance apps, which lets you buy, sell, and hold cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and 25 plus other cryptocurrencies inside the SoFi app. It's also a federally regulated platform because SoFi crypto is offered through SoFi Bank. You can feel confident knowing your crypto is on a platform with the safeguards of a bank, which is especially important when investing in crypto. The part I like is it's inside the same SoFi app as the rest of your money if you already use them. So instead of having your money in one account and crypto on another platform, you can have your crypto in one place. Also, if you're in your 20s, the biggest thing you can do to help you invest is removing friction. If it takes more effort for you to log into a different investing platform, you're probably not going to do it for a long time. SoFi is super easy to use, and right now they have a promo where if you open a SoFi crypto account and make a qualifying crypto purchase of at least $10, you can get $10 in stablecoin by February 7th. Just remember, crypto is inherently risky and not for everyone. So if you've been meaning to buy, sell, and hold in crypto, this is a solid way to start. You can use my link below to check it out. The next money lesson is you need to know your hourly rate and what your time is worth. I spent my 20s really not tracking this, really not thinking about this. And as a result, I spent my days doing a bunch of things that I should not have been doing. Just to give you guys an example, let's talk about one of the side hustles I did in my 20s, which was tutoring. I was a tutor. I tutored students for about $50 per hour, but I didn't realize that my time was technically worth that much. Instead, I was doing a bunch of $10, $15 per hour tasks that I should not have been doing. I should have hired someone overseas. I should have delegated it, or I should have just paid for services that help free up my time so that I could work more. Now, if your rate is not worth $50 an hour, then my direct advice would be to try and get your hourly rate that high. And that goes back to getting that high value skill and doing that skill for clients. Then it's going to actually make sense for you to delegate and pay for services. There's a couple different ways to calculate your hourly rate. So obviously, if you have a service and you charge X dollars per hour, I think that should be your hourly rate. Or if you work a full-time job, essentially what you want to do is take your yearly salary and divide it by 2,000. For example, if you make $60,000 per year, then your hourly rate is about $30. Once you have this number, it's going to allow you to make a lot better decisions in how you spend your time. Number 5, you didn't learn anything about practical money skills in college. Like, they don't teach you how to invest it. They just teach you how to spend it. And really, the financial education system, the education system in general, in my opinion, is pretty broken. And that's why financial literacy is at an all-time low. The saying that I love to live by is the grass is green where you water it. So if you want to have a financially successful life, you need to learn about money. You need to learn about filing your taxes, about investment accounts, Roth IRA, 401k, index funds. All this stuff is stuff that we should be taught, but we aren't. And it's not your fault. Rather, it's the fault of the education system. But what's powerful is that you should know that you can actually learn the stuff yourself. There are so many resources out there for you to actually learn, right? YouTube, videos like this. And the best part is like, it's all free. So if I were to go back to my early 20s, I would have spent way more time just learning more about how money works, because the more it's on your mind, the better you are going to be at it. That's just the truth. So please, please, please spend more effort on the things that that you want to be better at. And if you want to have better finances, you want to be wealthier, then please put effort into actually learning these things and building them. My early 20s, I really didn't know anything. I invested in things that I shouldn't have. I sold things that I shouldn't have sold. And yeah, it was just a complete mess. The great thing is that the earlier you can figure this stuff out, the faster you can get to your first 100K. The next 900K to your first million is easier. And then it just gets easier after that. Okay, number 6 is tax loss harvesting. This is a concept that I wanted to put in here because I feel like not that many people know about it. But yeah, this can have big implications when it comes to actually investing. So if you have a taxable investing account, so just like any type of stock brokerage account, and let's say you buy something that actually loses money. You put $100 in, it's now worth $80, and you have that $20 loss, right? We can actually sell that stock and realize that loss and have it offset our gains in that year. So in this case, that $20 loss, that could offset a $20 gain. I think a lot of people don't realize this. They invest some money, they lose some value, they get scared of investing. But the great thing is that the IRS actually allows you to use that loss to reduce your other gains. Now, sorry in advance, but just to get a little bit more technical about this, losses will first offset your gains. And then if your losses actually exceed the gains of that year, you can deduct up to $3,000 against your ordinary income. And then the rest you can actually carry forward indefinitely. Let's say, God forbid, you lose $1 million in a year investing. Now you'll be able to use that $1 million loss to offset gains for as many years as you want. Now, there are a bunch of rules to this. So if you want to do this, I definitely recommend looking into it more. This is just like a broad overview, but I feel like this is a rule that not that many people know about. And it can actually take people that are scared of investing and losing money and give them like oh, okay, I can actually use those losses to offset any other gains. Like, that's pretty cool. The next money lesson I want to talk about is spending pre-tax money versus post-tax money. There is a huge difference. And I really wish I understood this in my 20s. So the other day I was talking to a friend who has a W-2 job, he makes a lot of money. His salary is like $300,000 per year, but he was telling us about how big his paychecks were every 2 weeks. And the amount just blew my mind. Because yeah, you'd expect, let's say $25,000 per month. Well, actually, after all the deductions and 401k and taxes, he's making about $12,000. So about half. Now, I want you guys to understand this because this is why I am so bullish about business. This is why I think everyone that wants to become a business owner should become a business owner. The reason is because when you have a business, you're earning 1099 income. This is different than W-2 income. It's very powerful because we can actually take deductions against this income and get our effective net income closer to zero. As a W-2 employee, there are so many deductions you cannot take. For example, if I only have a W-2 job and I buy a laptop, I can't write that laptop off from my income. I can only write that laptop off if I'm making 1099 income. Of course, it gets a little bit more complicated, but I truly believe that 1099 income is the best income to make. If you guys start a service-based business and you're, let's say, doing photo shoots for clients, then you're earning 1099 income. If you're acting as a freelance consultant, you're also making 1099 income. If you're doing side hustles or gigs and stuff like that, you're making 1099 income. So at a 50% effective tax rate, which is what high earners pay here in California, so basically spending $100 in my business is the same as me spending about $50 of post-tax W-2 money. It's a really interesting concept that I encourage you guys to learn more about. But once you learn it, it's going to really encourage you to go down the entrepreneur route. The next money lesson I want to talk about is you want to find a money mentor. Now, this is going to be different for everyone because, you know, some people grow up with parents that have a lot of successful friends. Some people grow up in a much more disadvantageous area. They won't have resources to people that are financially successful, stuff like that. But the concept of the money mentor still stands, right? This is something that I wish I had in my 20s because it would have motivated me so much and really illustrate how far ahead you can get financially if you put in the work. If you have parents whose friends are successful with big houses, big net worths, whatever, please try and talk to them. Try and learn from them. If you're in college and you have a professor who's done really well, please talk to them. I missed out on so many opportunities talking to really great people because I didn't think it was important to have a money mentor. You can call it money mentor, you can call it mentor, whatever you want to call it. It's just really important that you talk to people that are doing what you want to do. Don't be shy. They love sharing their story. They want to help young people out. Just ask them, right? The worst they can say is no. But if you ask enough people, I guarantee you're going to have someone that wants to help you, that shares a bunch of knowledge, experiences, really invaluable things. And that's really going to put you on this fast track path to financial success. If you don't know anyone in person, then go to the right places, meet new people, or just go online and find an online mentor. I actually credit a lot of my success in my late 20s to learning from mentors online. These are people that, I didn't know, I never met, they didn't know who I was, but I consumed their content and I learned incredible stuff. Really, there are mentors everywhere. So if there's one thing you can take away from this point, it is to just make an effort to find those mentors and then actually learn from them. Heck, I could even be your online mentor, right? If you connect with me, if you relate to my story, if you find the things that I'm saying helpful, then yeah, use me as your money mentor. The next point I want to talk about is you need to track your money religiously. I failed to do this in my 20s. And as a result, I had no idea where my money was, where it was going, what I was spending money on. And so I really encourage you, please get any type of platform to track your money. Right now, I use Monarch Money. They're great. There are a bunch of other platforms. And essentially what you do is you connect all of your financial accounts, your bank accounts, your investment accounts, and you can track all of it from one single place. And there's going to be a number at the top of the screen that shows your net worth. That's basically your assets minus your debts. If you track this number and you track all the different things that are going into making this net worth number, it's going to allow you to make a lot better financial decisions. Also, the amount of financial information is overwhelming for most people, right? You have tons of subscriptions, you're purchasing this and that, you have this money coming in, you have these tax payments. It's really a losing battle when you try to do all of it via memorization. If you don't want to pay for a service, you can just use a spreadsheet. Really, there's so many different ways that you guys can track your money. You can even use AI using ChatGPT. But the important thing is that you need to know where your money is at, because what gets tracked gets improved on. What doesn't get tracked gets forgotten. And then the final money lesson I want to talk about is one that I actually had. So this is something that really helped me out. And I think being in America with this consumerism mindset that most people have, a lot of people should really hear this money mindset and actually apply it to their lives. So the mindset that I grew up with, this is a very Asian Chinese thing, is that money earned is meant to be saved, not spent. So I'll say that again. Money that you make is meant to be saved, not spent. The vast majority of people think of their income as money that's coming in that should just be spent right when it hits their account. And guys, I understand why people think this because it's really baked into the culture. But if you take a different approach to money and what it should actually be used for, this might completely change the trajectory of your finances. The reason why I was overly frugal in my 20s was because I had this mindset, but I had too much of it. So essentially, you want to have this type of money mindset, but have it be at the right amount. Most of the reason why we make money should be to save it and grow your net worth, while some of it should be spent for your daily life, as well as any small luxuries you want. Just something simple like this little small mindset thing is really going to influence what you do with your money. And because it's so simple, things either abide by it or they don't. It's very, very easy to tell. This is the one thing that I am so glad I grew up with. I'm very thankful for my parents for instilling this money mindset in me. And I really do credit it with my interest in personal finance, my interest in investing, making money, business, stuff like that. Basically, it's led me down a path that has really resulted in a lot of great things for me. And yeah, I'm just super, super thankful. I hope that this video resonated with you. I hope it can actually help you out. If you're watching this video already, you're doing a lot more than most people. I do want to say congratulations, you're awesome. You should also know that you have the power to completely change the trajectory of your financial life. Every day we make tons and tons of decisions and they all impact our finances. And if your goal is to actually become wealthy, just know that you are completely in control of it. Hopefully you can apply some of these money lessons that I wish I knew in my 20s. And yeah, my whole goal is to just help the next generation of people just absolutely crush it with their finances, make a lot of money, save a lot of money, and yeah, just crush it in life. So hopefully you guys got some value. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe for more content just like this. I make a ton of videos about entrepreneurship, AI, tech, investing, finances, and it's all to help you guys live a financially successful life. Thank you so much again for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.